Judicial Watch President Tom Fitton tells One American News that the FBI's actions in seizing documents from former President Trump's possession is an incredible abuse of law enforcement to achieve a political end. One America's John Hines has more from Washington.
President Trump's supporters are very upset because they feel like the former president is being targeted. He has been targeted, I think, as his supporters would say, since he was elected. But so they're concerned, obviously, about this situation. But why should people who maybe don't follow politics or are agnostic about politics, or maybe even some Democrats or supporters of others, why should they care? Why should they be concerned about this controversy regarding unsealing an affidavit that the FBI filed to form the predicate to get a warrant to come and take stuff from the former president's house?
Well, the theory of America is, and our constitutional system is, that, we're not like a third world dictatorship or other countries where individual rights aren't protected, and that where you're targeted and you have your home raided and you're being subject to prosecution and jail based on your politics and whether you're an inconvenient figure for the regime. And I think all Americans would agree that to use federal law enforcement to advance political ends is a way to really end the country as we know it in terms of the rule of law.
This case, this raid of the former president's home, Mar-a-Lago, the predicate seems to be that it would, as far as we can tell, that it gets back to this Presidential Records Act, I think was passed by Congress in 1978. There's no criminal a penalty attached to that, and Congress, I believe, specifically decided not to do that. Isn't it kind of moot, though, because doesn't the president just kind of sui sponte, doesn't he have the ability to declassify documents, whatever he wants to, and isn't that part of the Constitution? So isn't this kind of all sort of in the weeds and not really relevant here?
Yeah, I think you got at it, John, and they're kind of making it up as they go along. Judicial Watch several years ago had sued the archives because we found out that Bill Clinton had kept tapes of conversations he had in the Oval Office, and he kept those tapes in his sock drawer, never turned them over to the archives. And we thought, oh, well, they're presidential records. Let's sue the archives to get access to them and require them to go get them. And they came back at us and told us to go pound sand. And the Justice Department lawyer said to the court in that case, well, if the president has them, presumably they're personal. And indeed, the judge ruled that the archives can't get behind any decisions by the president to designate records as personal or presidential. So that's the long way of saying the Justice Department position, the archives position, and what the law and the Constitution require is essentially unreviewable deference to the president to take records, allow him to take records with him, and with the presumption that they're personal and his. I mean, the idea that you would raid a president based on that alone is just it's just an incredible abuse. And why aren't they doing it against Obama? I mean, they're saying that no one else in that position has never done what Trump has done. Of course they have. Bill Clinton did.
Yeah. Well, I think also if you go back, you look, I think the Nixon library only released the last of his tapes in 2013. I think the LBJ library released the last of his tapes in 2016. So that was a long time when they were supposedly keeping confidential.
It'd be nice if the archives could release the records they already have rather than pretending they're records that they should have and they want to abuse Trump over. And of course, this is Garland in the end. This is Biden in the end. And, we can talk about all these specifics, but they want to destroy Trump and they're thinking of excuses to do it. And if it's not this, it would have been something else equally as fraudulent. They spied on him without justification, and sure enough, the same gang raided his home without justification.
Tom Fitton, president of Judicial Watch, thank you for talking to us on One American News, sir.